Welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
All righty. Brandon, how have you been doing?
I've been doing well, Mom. This marks year two for us going into it.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. We thank our audience for joining and watching along with us. And so we're going to tackle the week of June 30th through July 3rd on Port Charles Chat. All right, let's start. First of all, let's talk about Natalia because I think the week itself basically I think the week itself basically kind of concentrated on Natalia and then the effects of her death. So, first of all, Natalia realized that Sonny was not going to go with her when she left town. Sonny said that he was going to put her up somewhere and to make sure that she was settled. Natalia had made a deal with the ADA in order to turn evidence against Sonny. However, she also spoke to Sonny, and Sonny said that he was going to place her someplace. I believe they said Belize. But anyway, she she is startled when she finds out that Sonny is not going to go with her. She's so upset that she does go to the baby christening, and she does speak to Sonny before the christening begins. She goes back to her hotel room and begins to take drugs and alcohol, and proceeds to pass out. She does die later on that afternoon, that evening rather. Um, right before all of this, Natalia did speak with her son last week, and she had a discussion with him, and she lets him know that she is going to be leaving town. Marco does tell her that he knows that Sonny is not he was not going to be with her, but Natalia did not believe that. So anyway, so she dies. Unfortunately, her son Marco was not able to be with her at the end. She did try to text him several times, although it was text that did not make sense. But he knew by the text he kind of needed to be with. He needed to see what was going on with his mom. And of course, he was encouraged by Lucas to go to her also. I've said a lot about Natalia. Brandon, did I leave anything out?
No, we definitely saw a bit of her, and as I was saying last week, I thought that what we saw from her was probably the best that we've seen of her in the series of her on the show. So, yeah, I think that largely sums it up, and I know Lucas played a very big part in making sure that Marco went to go see her, even though he didn't end up being able to.
Yes. And then, along with Natalia, we have another large storyline with the baby blessing or the baby christening of Daisy. And so we find out the week prior that both parents have found godparents for their children. And so they do have a baby blessing. And the blessing itself was very nice. However, what I think what's important about the blessing is what happened that stemmed from the blessing, meaning in regards to this is where Natalia went to visit right before she became very upset. This is where Kristina dramatically had to leave to go and tend to the bar. This is where Molly arrived later at the Quartermains to actually to see the baby, but she also ends up leaving with Cody later. So I think that's one of the reasons why this event was so important. And then Sasha and Michael had a conversation about his burns, and I thought that was important that they talked about that. But then also at the same time, we know that Sasha does not want the baby out of her sight. She makes a point of saying that she wants the baby to be with her basically at all times in regards to going to sleep, because everyone kept mentioning that the baby should go to the nursery, and she kept saying, no, I think the baby needs to stay with me. So she's suspicious of what's going on with her. And so that's with the baby blessing, which to me leads straight to Kristina and the fire. As I mentioned, Kristina has she did leave the reception early, and when she left the reception, she went to her bar, and then she saw that there was gas on the floor. She saw something was on the floor anyway, and then someone threw a flaming stick or something into her bar, and so the bar caught on fire. She is actually saved by Marco because he was driving by on a way to see his mom, and he rescued Kristina. Brandon, out of those, did I leave anything out of those two general storylines?
No, Mom, I think that was largely the premise of that.
All right. Now, thanks, Brandon. And just so everyone knows, we are taping this on July 4th. So if you hear things coming from the back of me, that might be fireworks that tend to be going off in our neighborhood. All righty. Now, I mentioned all of that to say that Sidwell actually played a part in all of this. Sidwell is the one who actually paid someone to set the fire to Charlie's club. And when he did that, he actually set it so that Selena Wu would actually get the blame for it. Selena is shocked to hear this when she speaks to Sidwell because she's been on the good side of Sonny, and she leaves town pretty quickly. Dante does go to Jason later and mentions that Selena Wu's people are the ones that could have done this, and Jason doesn't believe it either. He knows this is coming from Sidwell. So I thought that was interesting that Jason did not believe that Selena had anything to do with this particular action. Brandon, were you shocked that Jason believed that it was Sidwell and not Selena?
Well, yeah, I believe it. I mean, while I wish Jason didn't really have a major part in this in the way that he does, which we don't even know to what extent that he does, I think he knows very well that it is not Selena Wu that is causing this. Nice to see her again, but she's not the one causing this.
Yeah, true. All righty. Then on another note, we have Rocco. Rocco has actually read the file that Brooklyn had on him, and he knows that there's something about Britt being his mother, and that's basically all he knows at this point. He's kind of asking a lot of questions, but that's all Rocco knows. And then Gio and Tracy had a scene together. Tracy wants Gio to know that he could possibly be in danger just because of Sonny and who Sonny is and what Sonny stands for. And she tells him it could be deadly to be involved with Sonny. And then Willow got a chance to see Wiley, although she planted herself at the pool so that she could see him. But she did get a chance to see Wiley, and Michael was nice about it, but he did move Wiley along pretty quickly. And then Lulu had a word with her mother in regards to Sonny, and has let Laura know that she really needs to not be involved with Sonny, and if she wants her political career to go any further, that she needs to publicly state that she is not supporting Sonny. And that's what I have for this week. It was a short week for us, 4 days because of the holiday. Brandon, did I leave anything out?
No, I don't think so. Oh, actually, just the mention of the whole financial situation that Deception may or may not be in.
Yeah, well, and now that Natalia has passed away, I don't know if that will make a difference. They did mention that they wanted to go to the police, they meaning Brooklyn and Maxie, but whether or not they do it or not, we'll have to wait till next week to find out. All right, so let's go to our performer of the week. For me, there was just one person who was the performer of the week, and that was Marco. I thought he did a nice job, and so I have to give it to him for this week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Yes, I fully agree for Marco being the performer of the week, no question.
All right. And as for amusing scenes, there was one scene that stood out more than anything, and that had to do with Cody and Sasha. Cody, yes, because Cody and Sasha, and then Molly was there too, but they were at the Quartermains, and they were at the Quartermains, and they were having a conversation in regards to how to fit in, and at least Cody was anyway. And so Cody made some snide remarks, which I thought were kind of funny. And so that to me was the amusing scene of the week was between Cody, Sasha, and then Molly kind of overhearing the conversation. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Oh, it would have to be that. I really loved being able to see that with his commentary. I thought it was really spot on, and yeah.
All right. And then, as for the touching scene of the week, I had three. I had Jason and Dante because they had another conversation. Although it may not be touching, it was the fact that they were getting along. And I did like that they were getting along. And this is when Sonny was at the precinct, And so Dante came by just to give Jason some information about Selena and other things. And so I like that conversation, and I like that they acknowledged that both their sons were considered themselves brothers. Um, and then Marco and Natalia, they had a, although not a pleasant scene, they had a scene at the end of last week that I kind of want to mention. And so I did like that scene, even though they weren't happy together, that I like that they sort of touched on some things that they had not touched on before. And then Michael and Sasha, they had a really nice scene about about the burns that Michael had. And so I like that he explained to her about the pain that he was in occasionally, and because that's something that he has not addressed yet with any of his family members. All right, Brandon, what kind of touching or heartwarming scenes did you like this week?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of those, and I'm going to add Christina to the list of that too, because I think for her sort of realizing the damage that was done, that everything was going on, and even for Alexis with it, and yeah, which brings me to saying I want to mention a little bit later too.
All righty. And then as for fast forwarding scenes, I didn't really have any this week. They all kind of fit pretty well together, so I didn't really fast forward anything. All right, Brand, what did you want to bring up before I go to the where are they's?
Well, first of all, I didn't have any fast forward scenes, and
Uh,
the thing that I want to bring up is sort of the divide that we're beginning to see, because now it's like almost everybody on the canvas is having to pick sides between the are you with Sonny and Laura and yeah and their group, or are you with Sidwell and Drew, who seems to be missing?
Yeah, that is true. I have noticed that too. Because Sonny went for quite a while without actually having a storyline. And then now all of a sudden he sort of has one, but is kind of indirect about things that he really did not put in motion, but they're just happening right now. And so, yeah, so now people are trying to decide, are you for or against Sonny? And they're going back and forth. And Tracy has gone back and forth on whether or not she's for or against Sonny the whole time period. She says she's against right now. But so it just all depends on what's going on at that time period.
And I will say too that it looks, from the looks of it thus far, I mean we haven't seen Nina in a while, but it seems that all of Sonny's exes are on the anti-Sonny side, to include Carly and Alexis.
Yeah, which is really interesting to watch all of them. They're all, but what's interesting is they're all for Jason. They have no problem with Jason. It's all Sonny. And even part of me even thinks that Jason kind of looks a little differently as Sonny, because Jason's kind of become a stronger. He's always been a strong character, but now that he's taking care of Danny, he is truly become someone who's just knows that he needs to protect his family.
Yeah, fully agree with that.
Yeah. All right. And now the where are they? Well, we mentioned a couple of them. Where is Nina? Where is Drew? Where is Ned? Where is Olivia? These people have been missing for off and on for the last couple of weeks or so. And Spinelli, they're just kind of missing out there. And then we had to say goodbye to Natalia this week. And Brandon, did I leave anyone out in either category?
No, I don't think there's anyone else I'd want to add to the where are they or missing people per se.
All right. And then as for next week, I look forward to actually seeing some scenes with Kristina again, and with Sidwell also. And so, and of course, I should say wrapping up, but kind of figuring out what we're doing with Sunny. And so those are the three particular storylines I'm looking forward to next week. What about you, Bran?
You know, I would like to see a little bit more effort on the whole thing with Molly and Christina, especially now that Christina is in such a predicament. I mean, is she? I mean, Christina's a wild card. While she's in that hospital, she might say, "Oh, by the way, Molly, I accidentally tried to kill your dad while trying to kill Ava. My bad."
Yes. Yeah, Christina is very much so a wild card, so who knows what she'll say at any time. All right. Anything else that you'd like to talk about today?
Well, Mom, we did actually have a couple of returns.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon. Selena returned. Welcome back, Selena. And who else?
We also have a temporary Maxie that has returned.
Yeah, we do have a temporary Maxie, although I always do mix Maxie when she's gone.
But yeah, I'm at least glad that the Maxie character's there, and I'm looking forward to whenever the regular actress is able to return, which I believe I read is August.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that too. All right. Well, we thank everybody for watching today. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
Well, Mom, you missed one of the returns.
Oh, who did I miss?
Mac came back on Monday for the christening.
Oh, how could I forget that? Yeah, Mac, who couldn't come to the christening, came back to the christening, came to the christening, and I was very happy to see Mac there, especially since Felicia was the godmother.
Even though Mac had no lines.
Mac had no lines, but he showed up, so that is, to be invited back to come, that's great. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it for me, Mom.
All right, so we thank everybody for watching today, and we will see you next week, everybody.
Have a great day.
All right, bye bye.